breaking down all the plays and getting you in the action. We've got you covered all season long. Welcome to the BCSN Nation podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for stopping by episode number 5 of the BCSN Nation podcast. I am your host, as always, Brendan Goforth. I'm the social media specialist here at BCSN. Join with me, as always, program director and anchor here at BCSN, Justin Feldkamp.
Brendan, ready to kick the tires and light the fires on week 5 of high school football in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan. I'm looking at this, I don't know about you, Mike, Rob, but I'm looking at this as a challenge presented type of week for a lot of area teams.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it. We've got this week back on the show. We're back around to our loop of rotating analysts. We've got Coach Mike Robinson on the show. How you doing?
Hey, I'm excited to be here. And the one thing that Justin said really is getting me is this is a very, very big week for a few teams. And I feel like some people are sleeping on these games.
All right. Well, you heard it here. We're gonna cover those games here in just a moment. So coming up on the show today, we've got, listen, I'm gonna tell you straight up, we've got a packed show today. A lot of things to discuss, so strap in, buckle up. We got a lot of things to talk about. We're going to talk about the player of the week. We've never really discussed that here on the show for the most part, but I want to give some time to that today. We're going to have the player of the week discussion. We're also going to talk about Southview at Anthony Wayne coming up this week, St. John's at Central Catholic, our clip of the week from last week, our student section review, the game of the week this week, Whitmer at Findlay, and that's not all. We've got even more coming up on the show today. You can check me out on Twitter at Brendan Goforth, Justin at Justin Feldkamp, Mike Robinson at Coach_Mike Rob. Connect with all of us. Send us all of your appreciation and definitely not hate mail. You can connect with BCSN and all of our social media at BCSN Sports. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can check out next week's show, Wednesday, September 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have BCSN's high school football analyst Mark Gibson back on the show. And then you can also check us out on bcsnnation.com/podcast. for all things podcast. We've got written things on there. We've got all the goodies for the podcast. So definitely stay tuned with us there. But that's all the housekeeping I've got for us today. Thank you guys for stopping by. Let's go ahead and get straight into it. I want to talk briefly here about the Charlie's Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Player of the Week from last week. It was a senior running back for Central Catholic and also the Player of the Week pick for Coach Mike Robb over here, Chris Edmonds.
Yeah, Edmonds has been one of the best football players in Northwest Ohio for a year and a half. He's been dominating. Last year, he had to step up for Josh Watson, who went down with an injury midway through the season. That young offensive line had to help carry him, but he actually helped carry that young O-line into a really good season last year. And then now he's the guy, but he is humble as can be. I saw him at the UT football game week 1, and he was like, "Hey, man, you picked Taiwan over me." I was like, "Hey, man, you know what? I'll pick the O-line if you have another good game." Following week, he has a great game. Who do I pick? The O-line.
Yep.
And then he does this. Come back with 250 yards. It made it hard for me not to go ahead and pick him for this week because he's been consistent. And he's been dominating, and then that's what you want out of your running back.
Yeah, he is a wrecking ball. He doesn't go down with arm tackles. In some cases, he doesn't go down with one solid tackle. It takes gang tackles to bring him down. He'll spin. He'll get low to the ground. He'll keep the balance using his hand on the ground to keep his knees off the ground so he's still up and not down. And he's just fun to watch. He can get outside the tackles. He can go through the tackles. I know that Coach Dempsey likes his pass blocking a little bit, and he provides a reason for an offensive line to do their job.
Definitely makes sense to me. Well, you guys out there, you voted for him. First off, just congratulations to Chris Edmonds. Again, a phenomenal performance. Like you said, he's been super consistent so far this year. I'm sure he's going to continue going forward like this. This vote actually came down to the wire.
Yeah, 33% to 31, I think I saw.
32.5 to 31.6%.
Yeah.
We like that.
Weeks.
And on top of that, with an hour remaining, it was a 0.1 difference between TJ Tackett's and Chris Edmonds. Yeah, it was one of the closest ones we've had, north of 3,200 votes for the player of the week.
Cool.
So thank you guys for taking part, and we'll have a new poll here on Friday night. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into, I've got a few games I want to discuss here at the opening portion of the show. I want to talk first off. We've got Southview at Anthony Wayne this weekend. The two final remaining undefeated teams in the NLL. We've got Southview right now, who is outscoring their opponents 212 to 28 and then Anthony Wayne, which is holding their opponents to 10 points or less. So on paper, we've got a high-scoring offense for Southview and a really strong defense for Anthony Wayne. What are we looking at for this matchup?
Well, both are 4-0. Both have solid head coaches, but I think Southview is trying to get to where Anthony Wayne already is. You see the point differential, but that doesn't tell the story. You got to look a little closer, and this is not rocket science, but look who you beat. Southview has beaten Rogers, Waite, Brush, and Springfield. 0-4, 0-4, 1-3, 0-4. Okay? Who has Anthony Wayne beaten? Findlay, St. John's, Whitmer, Maumee. Findlay is 1-3, but Anthony Wayne won that game 9-6. Everybody knows that Findlay's better than 1-3. St. John's was 0-3 until a win over Lima Senior last week. St. John's schedule was brutal. They played a ton of close games, and that game was close, 10-7. Whitmer 2-2, and then Maumee 0-4. So Anthony Wayne's defense has given up no more than 10 points the entire season. I looked up a stat. Since Andy Brungard took over Mike Robb, his teams and the defensive coordinators have 25 shutouts.
Wow.
Oh my
25
God.
shutouts in a span of 6+ years. This is his 7th season. So the defense is just well coached. They have a great team ideal when it comes to tackling the ball carrier, following assignments, not getting beat deep. They just do all the little detail things that coaches just love to ingrain into a defensive player's mind. They practice Monday through Thursday and then execute on Friday nights.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got to agree with you there. Anthony Wayne's the team to beat, in this league. And you look at Southview, obviously they got some progression, and they got a young roster that's getting better and better week after week. So it's a team you can't fall asleep on because you can get burnt by this team.
Yes.
I mean, Isaac Sexton is no joke. I mean, he's put guys in the treadmill and made them chase after him, and then they can't stay on that thing with them. The other person is Emmett Lamb. I mean, this is another guy that can beat you deep. So they got a lot of juniors, a lot of young talent. They got Coach Mazies, who's been putting things in, as an assistant coach there. And then also you got the 2-quarterback system, and that's where Anthony Wayne is struggling at. They don't have a quarterback. They have an athlete that can play quarterback, and they've done that before, and they've had success with guys like Evan Brown stepping in when they've quarterback went down in the past. So one thing that I see in this game is Anthony Wayne has all the pressure on them. There's no pressure on Southview. Yep. They just got to come in here and play football.
Right.
And that is the scariest part about this game if you're Anthony Wayne.
So what I'm curious to see is Southview. As we mentioned, they haven't played anybody yet. So how are they going to be in a bright lights upon us type of game? Are they going to rise to the occasion? A lot, you mentioned the young roster. They haven't been in this situation before. They're used to losing, quite honestly. They're used to being less than 500. So how do they respond? Do they come forward, and if they get down 10-0, is it tuck their tails and go? Or do they continue to show up and battle for a consistent 48 minutes?
I mean, you said it, fight or flight, and that's where they're at, and I think they're going to fight. I don't think that they're going to run away from any battle. They're rolling with confidence right now.
Oh,
and
for
the
sure.
fact that they can put points on the board is what they're hanging their hat on right now. And so if they can't score 35 points, then, that's where they're going to be trying to find out, where do we find offense at? What do we got to get better at? And I think what we're going to learn is, can the quarterback step up and handle this? And does that 2-quarterback system work versus program that is going to be prepared for it?
Yeah, and for those that don't know, it's 2-quarterback system to the nth degree. They literally rotate every single play. Not every single drive or every single quarter, flipping back and forth. The starter goes to the first and third quarter. Second guy goes second and fourth. No, it's every single play, in and out, in and out, in and out. Now, I will say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Of course.
They're playing really well, but let's see. This is when I mentioned at the top of the podcast, challenge presented. The challenge is presented for Southview. I talked to Jeremy Rowe, the previous head coach, prior to Steve Hardy taking over. And credit to him, because Southview is where they are this year because of some of the work that Jeremy Rowe put in. And he tried to build that culture and mindset, off-season weight room, working when the coaches aren't there, working when there's no cameras on you kind of thing. And he got guys to care, putting it politically correct and the correct TV and podcast-friendly words here.
Right.
They got players to care, And it's great to see, especially at the high school level, when the hard work pays off.
Yes, definitely, and it shows on the field. Well, we've got that matchup this weekend. It'll be a really interesting thing to see. How does Southview do? Does Southview continue doing what they were doing, or do they get stopped by Anthony Wayne? We're going to find out. Another big matchup that we've got coming is St. John's at Central Catholic. St. John's are 1-3 so far through 4 weeks of the season, and Central Catholic is 3-1 after dropping their first week to St. Ed's, and then from there they've had some incredible showings against Cleveland Benedictine, Olentangy Orange, and Findlay last week. So really, among talking about this matchup in general, one thing that I would like to ask about is St. John's going to be able to compete in this match?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is definitely another challenge presented type of game. And Central Catholic, clear-cut, top dog. I've talked to a number of coaches within the TRAC, and it's not difficult to see the performances on the field and to acknowledge that until you beat the man, they're the man. So
Right,
Central
yeah.
Catholic is definitely the man right now at the top of the league. The one lost by 3 points to the number one ranked team in the state of Ohio in Division I. Central Catholic is Division II. So the people I've talked to and the sources I have around Northwest Ohio when it comes to high school football, Central Catholic is a Final Four type of team. Definitely a top 8 type of team when it goes deep into the postseason. So St. John's is not, but St. John's has a lot of good athletes. The only game where they gave up a bunch of points was that Perrysburg game.
Yep.
And that was an overtime game.
Phenomenal
And that
game.
was a back and forth type of game. So, and when the score gets up like that, you do different things, and Mike Robb can probably shed some light on that too. But St. John's is a solid team. They're not top echelon of the TRAC yet with their current personnel, but this recent rivalry has favored Central Catholic, obviously, but St. John's has squeaked in a game and won a few years ago on their home field in a very low-scoring game.
Okay.
Remember that game, Mike Robb, was inclement weather and low-scoring, ground attack, no passing.
2016,
and
17.
Yeah, so they came out with a win. So it has been done before. Looking at the weather forecast for this Friday, it looks like it's going to be dry and sunny. So I don't see an upset here. But again, that challenge presented. How's St. John's going to show up? Are they going to continue to battle and get better, compete? I'm a youth coach. I say, if we can't win every single game, you compete and improve. Compete and improve.
I got a different vision on this game.
Okay,
This
fire away.
It's about to be a blowout.
Okay.
This game's about to get ugly, fast, and early. St. John's ain't got nothing coming. I mean, they got some good players. Blake Lichtenberg, he stepped up and made some plays throughout the season. Matty Swift is a game breaker. I mean, the kid can fly. You let him up and down the sidelines. And the other part to it is their offensive line. They got some continuity up there. The big kid, Andrew French, one of the bigger guys, in the area, 6'8", 300-something pounds. He's a D1 prospect, but he's new to football, for a couple years. And then Owen Madden and the rest of those guys up there, and Gage Yackey, they got a solid line.
Yep.
They got the pieces, but they don't have the experience. And that's what's going to hurt them this year, where Central Catholic was very young all last season, and they stumbled through the first few games to get to where they were at. And then now to the point that they're at now, like I said, Edmonds, a year better, a year stronger. Tywan Clark, a year better, a year stronger. That whole offensive line besides Brent Romback that left. And the defense is the real part of this story. Central Catholic defense is about to annihilate this offense. And that is where things are going to get, ugly for the rest of the schedule for anybody in the TRAC. You were right. The reason why Central Catholic is going to go deep is because of their defense.
Yes.
Offenses, you got to stop Michael Canning, DeAndre Ellis, Schuberg. Braden Alls on the second half of that defense. They got guys, and they got real guys. The only other team in this area that can really hang with them, in my opinion, would be a Perrysburg or maybe an Anthony Wayne. So for a game like this for SJJ, they got to step up, and they got to try to hang on to this game and not let it get out of their hands. The big thing is not turning it over, because if you're throwing interceptions and giving the ball away to the Central Catholic team, Tywan Clark and Chris Edmonds, they know this is a rivalry game. They're going to turn it up.
It's going to start rolling.
Yeah, and they're going to get rolling, and so you better hold on to yourself. So if I'm St. John's, I'm looking to control the football, minimize turnovers, and move the chains. You said it with youth football. You want to get experience. You want to learn. It's not always about winning, but competing and staying in the game. They got to move the chains, kind of like Toledo has to this week. If you compare Toledo versus Ohio State,
right,
that's my comparison with this game.
Yeah, you can't be sloppy. When you go up against a good team, good defense, or good team overall in 3 phases of the game, you get sloppy, it can get out of hand quickly with elite level teams like Central Catholic.
You have to execute in every aspect of the game. Yeah, talking about the defense, it looks like Central Catholic first game, they allowed 23 points, but following that, they only allowed 0 points, 10 points, and 17 points while putting up significantly more on the offense.
You got to mention St. Ed's, though. They lost to St. Ed's, the top 20 team in the country.
Yeah, right. I saw 31-0 Benedictine. Now Benedictine is 0-4. Click on Benedictine for me, Brandon.
They're struggling.
I want to see why... Let's see.
Young offense.
Central Catholic, Walsh Jesuit, Cleveland Heights.
Real deals.
DeMatha Catholic. Okay, so Benedictine's 0-4, and those are legit losses. So I was just curious to see that 0-4 against them. But okay, yeah. Central's good.
Central's definitely good. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into our first segment of the week. We've got the clip of the week.
It's time to react to the BCSN Nation podcast clip of the week. Send us your favorite play on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok using the @BCSN Sports and #BCSN Podcast.
At BCSN Sports, #BCSN Podcast. It's the clip of the week. Every Friday, we've got a lot of football games that happen and a lot of clips that go out on social media. So if you would like us to react to a specific play, hit up one of those clips and let us know using the #BCSN Podcast and @BCSN Sports. Let us know you want us to react to it. But this week, we're going to take a look at a play by Fremont Ross. So last week, Fremont Ross was undefeated 3-0, going up against another undefeated team, Clay, 3-0. They went on the road to the Clay Eagles, and they did business. They took that win 64-31. And one play that happened at the very end of the game that really just kind of capped it off for Fremont Ross was a pick six by the DB Brasen Sims for Fremont Ross. Let's go ahead and take a look at this clip and give our thoughts here.
Overtime, they had to get a last-second drive, a touchdown to tie, and a 2-point, and then scored in overtime to win, and that one is picked off.
Just jumped him, just a little bit.
And that may be
just
a
to get
return
the onions
for a
going,
touchdown. That's
you know.
Sims.
15 seconds left in the game.
Late.
You're throwing the ball, and you don't have a chance to win it, and then you throw a pick six. That's how you end the game. You know, look at him. He waving to the band. See you later. Good night. Yeah, that's a bad situation there for Clay, in my opinion. You know, but for Brasen, you know, way to keep playing the football game, even when it's out of hand. You know,
absolutely.
You know, and still going for it. And for Clay, you know, I respect that, but that's just a tough one right there.
Yeah, 90-yard pick six. Like, keep in mind, you know, Fremont Ross has a sizable lead here. They're up by 26.
Right, yeah.
So it's not like Fremont Ross's whole 11 starters on defense are in there. So these are guys that are backups or backups to the backups. They want to make a play. This is Friday Night Lights for them. They want to step up and make a play, and Brasen's does just that. So hats off to them. Good call by our play-by-play man, Chris Schmidbauer. Great camera work there by 2 of our camera operators for this game. So shout out to them. But yeah, Fremont Ross looking good, not only offensively. I know Mike Robb loves him some Kaden Holmes.
Yes, I do.
But the defense here for them, you know, they gave up 31 points, but Clay's offense has been churning and burning for the first month of the season against some lesser opponents. But we mentioned, you know, we're talking about challenge presented for this week's games. This was a challenge presented for Clay. And keep in mind, they have a younger roster as well, and there's a more upperclassmen roster at the starter level for the Little Giants. But Clay, you know, battled and put up 31 points against a really good Fremont Ross team.
Surprisingly, too. I didn't think they were going to put that many points up, you know. Game
you thought it was going to be an absolute blowout.
I mean, and it was. I said it was going to be a 30-point blowout, so the spread was covered with Brasen. And, you know, and that's what I thought. And that's kind of what I think about a lot of teams is, you know, defensively, you got Fremont Ross, who's a really good, heavy offensive team. Defensively, they're spread thin. So I think that's where it gets tough at for teams like Clay, who's got a lot of talent, but they also a little bit thin.
Right. Well, and just leading up to this pick six, too, just to give a little shout out. They were driving. Clay was making some excellent plays moving forward, just ended up ending in that pick six right there. So Fremont went ahead and got that W 64-31. All right, let's go ahead and move forward real quick before we get to our student section review. I just want to let you guys know, if you like these clips that we just shared right here, you should check out our TikTok. It's at BCSN Sports on TikTok. We're putting out Like I said, Friday nights, we got lots of clips that are happening, and I'm putting out at least 3 TikToks every Friday night. It could be your favorite team. It could be your favorite team with a crazy play. Check us out. Help us get to 5,000 followers. We're doing really good over there. Would really, really appreciate it. All right, let's jump into this week's Student Section Review.
It's time for the BCSN Nation Podcast Student Section Review. Send us your photos or videos of your school's student section using the @BCSN Sports and hashtag SSOTW on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok.
At BCSN Sports, hashtag SSOTW. It's the Unison Health Student Section of the Week and our Student Section Review. So, this week, we had something new happen that really, I don't think it's actually ever happened before. From my understanding, I could be wrong, but from my understanding, I don't think this has ever happened. The Maumee Panther Pack came away with the Student Section of the Week. Was super, super impressed with them. They really hit it hard on social media. Yes, I mean, round of applause for Maumee.
Go Maumee.
Potentially first-time winner. From what we can tell, first-time winner for Maumee. And here's the cool thing, too. They did it completely on their own. Like, with no assistance or anything. They just did it. They just started doing it organically. Super awesome job. From what I understand, and I could be wrong, so let me know, guys out there, if I am wrong. But from what I could tell, based off of our sharing on social media, it looks like potentially they have somebody new that's kind of leading the charge for them. Somebody by the name of Jamie. So if that is in fact you out there, thank you for really just leading the charge and getting this going, because it was fantastic. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple things that Maumee did. First things first, they did the party in the USA at their game last week. Let's take a look at this.
Nodding my head like yeah, moving my hips like yeah, hands up to play my song.
With the USA theme,
I like it.
fitting.
I love it. I mean, I love seeing them have fun, regardless of the score.
Yeah, no problem with a little Miley Cyrus in the student section.
course.
I like that. Good, catchy tune. And hats off to them. Everybody knows it's been a struggle in the football realm for Maumee. That's one of a variety of factors why they are exiting the Northern Lakes League and joining the Northern Buckeye Conference. But when you don't necessarily have a successful football team and you still show up like that,
Yes.
hats off to you guys. Obviously, there's a lot more to being a high schooler than just having your team be really good at everything.
Of course.
Community spirit, being out there, not being in the basement playing video games and having fun, Peyton USA on your shirt, wearing some Vipers. Well done. It's just fun. Go out and have a fun Friday night, great weather. And they brought it, and they deserve the BCSN belt for Student Section of the Week.
Yes, they do. They absolutely do deserve it. And let's just take one little quick peek at something else that they did. So for those of you out there who may not know, Northwest Ohio is home to America's roller coast, which is Cedar Point. And of course, Maumee had to give us a look at their version of a roller coaster. I absolutely love this. This is just so fun.
It's good.
Take them on a ride, baby. Take them on a ride.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I would like to take this opportunity, though. We are in the TV business here. So use the horizontal camera, please. Use the horizontal camera. We don't like these black panels on the left and right side of your screen.
It's for the Instagram story.
Yes, it depends on what you're doing.
Instagram stories.
All right, fine. Do 2 versions then or something.
There we go.
2 versions.
That works for me. So final congratulations to Maumee. You guys did a great job. You guys deserved the win. You did what you needed to do, and you deserved the win. We'll see you this Friday. You guys are going to be on the road at Northview, so show up. We'll have the belt. We'll be there. And we'll get you guys on TV. So congratulations, Maumee.
That belt is heavy.
That's very heavy.
That belt
Yes,
is
it
heavy.
is.
I picked it up the other day. I was on the studio set at our BCSN studios for Game Day Nation, then 13 ABC Football Friday, and it's heavy. It's a legit
Quality
reward.
belt,
It's a legit reward
It
for
definitely is.
Student Section of the Week.
Anthony Bellino is constantly complaining
Yeah.
every week about how heavy that thing is.
Gotta get them in the
Definitely.
gym a little bit, baby.
There we go. All right. Well, that's the Student Section review. Let's hop into this week's question of the week.
It's time for the BCSN Nation Podcast Question of the Week. Send us your question on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook using the @BCSN Sports and hashtag BCSN Podcast.
At BCSN Sports, hashtag BCSN Podcast. It's the question of the week. This week, I've got a fun question. But if you guys want to ask us a question to discuss here on the show, tweet at us at BCSN Sports, hashtag BCSN Podcast. Ask your question and we'll discuss it here on the show. But this week, I've got a question for you guys, a little fun one. If you were to build a super team from scratch right now, and you had two options at quarterback to pick, and your two options were QB for Fremont Ross, Kaden Holmes, and QB for Central Catholic, Tywan Clark, who are you going with and why?
Mike Rob, the stage is yours.
Somehow I knew you were going to do that. Well, not to get too analytical here, but one thing that I'm going to look at and how I equate taking a quarterback, just going back to when I took over the job at Bowser, only reason I took it is because I had a quarterback in Chris Suttoff. He was 6'3", 225 pounds, and he could run through anybody. Go watch his highlights on Huddle somewhere. Y'all be impressed with that. So when I look at it like this, you got to know some backstory, and I know some backstory. Kaden Holmes is an athlete. Tywan Clark is an athlete, but more of a quarterback. So for this question specifically, who am I taking at quarterback? I'm taking Tywan Clark.
Ooh. Oh,
okay. And I'm taking Tywan Clark because Kaden Holmes, if you watch any Fremont Ross game, Kaden Holmes plays defense too. He's a starter at corner. He's a very good wide receiver. He is a very good corner. He is a quarterback by force. Freshman year, he got thrown into the fire because the senior quarterback was no good. And he had to play quarterback for the rest of his career, and that's not his natural position. But he is an animal, and let me tell you why he is an animal. He's got over 8,900 yards total. He has 7,000 passing yards. He has 78 total touchdowns passing, and he has 30 rushing touchdowns with 2,000 yards. That's talking about an athlete. That's more than Mr. Woodson ever had at Fremont Ross. I mean, it is what it is. It's just the stats. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the stats.
Oh, they'll get mad at you. They will get mad at you.
You can get mad at me. Go Bucks. But go Rockets this week. So like I said, Kaden Holmes, he is a better athlete. But for quarterback, I'm taking Tywan Clark.
Okay.
All right, that's interesting. That's Charles Woodson, by the way. Charles Woodson, the Heisman Trophy winning athlete, both sides of the ball at Michigan, national champion, Pro Football Hall of Famer. But in fairness to Mike Robb, he is specifically talking about statistics at the high school level. Okay.
Kaden didn't get a chance to do all that yet.
Yeah, that is a valid deal. Kaden is fun to watch. There's a few players, skill position players, where worth $7, $8, $9, $10, whatever it is for a variety of admissions at gates at different stadiums across our area. Kaden Holmes, I said it on the highlight show a couple weeks ago. He's just so smooth. He makes a breakaway 41-yard touchdown down the sidelines look like it's strolling for a Sunday walk with a coffee and a dog. I mean, he's just that type of presence, excellent vision down the field. He's kind of on the next play. He's already the man in front of him, he's already got them beat. He's looking at the next guy down 10 yards from him. So he is fun to watch. But I'll go with Kaden. Although what you're saying, I'll just be a counter argument here because I am a fan of playing both ways, playing offense and defense. If you're needed to play both ways and your team is better as a result of that, do it.
Do it.
I'm totally fine with that. Coach Chad Long knows what he's got. I'm sure he's not moronic and, okay, let's play him a million plays on defense and then expect him to make big-time plays on offense. I'm sure there's some type of balance there, getting him breaks when necessary. But these kids are not 41 years old. They're 17, 18 years old. They train. They're doing off-season weight programs. They're stretching. Their bodies are capable of handling it to a certain degree, and that's the job of a coaching staff to, a pitch count in the game of baseball, kind of manage that situation to be efficient, to win ball games. And I think Fremont Ross has done that with Kaden Holmes, and they're gonna 100% miss this dude next year.
Definitely.
Agreed.
Let us know your thoughts on this question on social media. QB, Kaden Holmes, or Tywan Clark? Who are you picking if you're building a super team? It is the question of the week. Let's go ahead and move into our final segment It's the game of the week.
It's time to break down the BCSN Nation podcast game of the week. Send us your predictions for who comes away with the victory on Twitter and Instagram using the @BCSN Sports and #BCSN Podcast.
At BCSN Sports, #SSOTW. It's the game of the week. This week, we've got the Whitmer Panthers on the road at the Findlay Trojans. It's the second time that Findlay's been featured on the game of the week so far this year. Whitmer is coming off of a 41-7 win over St. Francis, while Findlay is coming off of a tough loss to Central Catholic, 17-50 last week. So, with that being said, we've got a 1-3 Findlay and a 2-2 Whitmer. How are we looking for this game of the week?
I'm curious about Whitmer, 74% to 25% there.
Fans like social media.
Yeah, as of right now. Keep in mind, Whitmer was on the road at Anthony Wayne. A lot of people thought Whitmer should or would win that game. They did not. So this is, in my opinion, as of right now, a little bit of a pick'em game. I think Whitmer has a little bit more experience, but Findlay's offense grew a little bit. I was talking to Coach Winters at Whitmer on Tuesday. He said every single game, you can see it on film, Findlay is clearly getting better each and every week, which is the way it should be.
Of course. Yep.
And he also said that for the first time this season, Whitmer's defensive secondary will be tested by Findlay's passing game.
That makes sense.
Remember Ben Ireland? Man, I loved watching that kid.
Yeah.
So fast, lightning burner, but they needed to rejuvenate the wide receiving core at Findlay. Javonte Hill is one of those guys who's plugging that gap, and I think they have some other playmakers on the outside too. And some of the passes that Ryan Montgomery makes, he's going to be our top recruit featured segment on Tailgate on Friday at 6:30 on BCSN. You can also see that story on 13 ABC, Dave White Chevrolet Football Friday at 11 o'clock. But he's been vastly improved. And I forgot about this, but Winters reminded me, he made his first start. Remember, he was a freshman last year, Ryan Montgomery, Findlay quarterback, versus Whitmer. It was his first time. It was week 4 last year.
Shoot him up.
And it was a difficult debut for a kid who's a freshman playing high school varsity football. So establish that. But he is like a night and day difference, in the opinion of Coach Ken Winters, from his first start as a freshman last year to where he is now.
Yeah, I agree with you on that sentiment. And for this game here being as big as it is, you take a look back and see what Whitmer did last week versus St. Francis. They controlled the game from start to finish. Defensively is where they're getting better at. On the offensive side, they got some things to still kind of figure out. Armin Johnson is probably the best running back on their team. And you look at, say, what? They got Crawford. Crawford's very good too, but Johnson brings a different type of, speed and attitude to the football team. But that's why you put your best players on defense. That's why he starts at outside linebacker, right? Because you need those guys on that side of the ball. So once they get into a pinch, they're going to be able to go to a 2-back set and maybe see some wildcat out of them. So I think Whitmer's got some things in their sleeves that we haven't seen yet. And as far as Findlay, it's been a tough go. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see them start spreading things out. They're going to start going 5 wide, maybe, like they did last year, and that's how they start getting back on track. Because after they lost to Whitmer, it was lost to Central Catholic, they switched their offense completely around. They went from going ground and pound to spread them out, knock them out. I think last year they would have beat Central Catholic if they would have did that before. Absolutely. They would have beat Central, in my opinion.
All right.
Central DBs wasn't ready for that. So this year, I think a lot of fans are sleeping on the Findlay Trojans. I think they got a really good chance of winning this football game because they got the quarterback, and that defense have not been tested in that second half.
Yeah, I think that you referenced the run that they went on, and pull that up for me, Brennan.
Yeah.
Go to any of those tabs and click on Findlay. All right. Yeah. Now go to the top message. Take off the 2022 at the top.
Oh,
nope. Right in the nope. Down there. On the bar where you type in the link address.
Oh, I got you. Sorry.
Okay. Now just take it 2 to 1.
Let's go to 1. Gotcha.
And enter. Okay. All right. Great podcasting here.
There we go.
Teaching people how to use internet. No. So look at that. There they go. Lost to Central Catholic. Lost to Whitmer. Then won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row. 2 of those games in the playoffs, eventually following to Springfield down in the Dayton area, 13-0 in a game that was marred by weather and odd special teams plays.
Yeah, 13-2.
But they definitely figured it out, and they had a top-heavy, front-loaded schedule last year. Anthony Wayne, Perrysburg, Bowling Green Central, and Whitmer. Then Fremont Ross. So same thing this year. They played tough teams. They're battle-tested from the get-go. They're going to get another test on Friday night against Whitmer, and it's another, I'm echoing it again from the top of the podcast, challenge presented. So yes, opposing coaching staff see Findlay improving. At some point, though, you got to turn improvement into a W.
Yes.
So can they do that against Whitmer? They got shellacked last year against Whitmer 40-6, but then went on that run. So what did they learn from that game last year? How do they turn the tables or make it a way more competitive game this time around?
I think that's going to be the question we're going to find out. And just a little thing to mention here. Whitmer's game last week against St. Francis. St. Francis, not the same team as Central Catholic by any means. So in terms of strength of teams, right? So Findlay playing Central, Whitmer playing St. Francis.
And I got a lot of good feels and vibes from Findlay for putting up 17 points and playing aggressive versus Central Catholic. I think that Whitmer has a really good defense. They're really good in the second half, like at linebacker, and I actually think their DBs are pretty good too. Up front is where the challenge is going to be. And can they maintain Montgomery? Can they maintain Luke? Pounding guys. Rotor Ball is going to have to step up. Kelly's going to have to step up. I think this game is going to be very tough for Whitmer, in my opinion.
Mike Grubb, I want to ask you one more. Challenge presented. I love this theme this week. For Luke Montgomery, what have you seen out of him? I've talked to a lot. He's an Ohio State recruit, verbally committed, turning into a recruiter to get a bunch of other guys to be a top 5 team in the country when it comes to recruiting rankings.
That's true.
What have you seen out of him?
I work with Prep Red Zone as well and do the scouting and writing reports, and I've written many articles on Luke. This dude's just phenomenal, beast mode, great kid, and will punish you. So when I look at Luke, and I just talked to him a couple of days ago on Twitter, and we're in the DMs, I'm like, Luke, where your highlights at? I'm like, you commit to Ohio State, you don't put highlights out no more? You don't put midseason highlights out? Is that what it is? So he sent me his highlights. I'll drop them for everybody. Yeah. And he's just a nasty, nasty player that wants to punish you, and he enjoys it. So what I think for Luke Montgomery is, they don't have the depth, so he has to play both ways. And for a guy that's 6'6", 280 pounds, and he's got to play both ways in order for the team to stay in the game, I think it's tough. Defensively, he is a load to handle, but also he's got to get some breaks. He's got to take breaks, and I think sometimes he doesn't play all the way through. He kind of slows down a little bit because they're counting on him so much. Right. But on the offensive side of the ball, you can guarantee 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 yards if you run behind him. So I think that's going to be the key for Luke is how much can they get out of him and how much stamina is he's going to have to be able to play off.
Yeah, I think that's a very good to recognize, because if you're focusing on what he's going to be playing at the next level at Ohio State, it's offensive line. So they pegged him as that. So people might be hyper-focused on what he's doing on the offensive line. And is he pounding guys every single play? Maybe not, but that's a valid reason because he's got a rest to be on defense as well. But challenge presented to Luke. Big boy football against Whitmer, and big boy football the rest of the way to try to leave a mark and leave a legacy at Findlay.
Must-win game here.
Yeah, I agree.
Must-win game, so I think this is why Findlay's dangerous. If you want me to take a pick, give me Findlay right now.
Oh, I didn't even have that.
Hey, their backs against the wall.
All right.
Ashy knuckles. Let's go.
I like it. Sounds good. All right. Well, you can catch that game. It's our game of the week this Friday. It's also going to be the host of Game Day Tailgate, which is 6:30 on Friday. What else do we got going on Friday, Justin?
All right. Whitmer, Findlay. That's our tailgate site, and that game will be on BCSN 2 live at 7 o'clock. Also on the BCSN Now app. All of these games I'm about to list on the BCSN Now app. Southview Anthony Wayne, Fremont Ross at St. Francis, St. John's Central Catholic, Bellevue at Start, Bowling Green at Springfield, Gibsonburg at Northwood, Fostoria at Rossford, Perkins at Huron, and Hopewell Loudon at Margaretta. 10 fantastic matchups. Tune in on the BCSN Now app.
Definitely do that, and definitely check out Game Day Nation, 7 o'clock on Friday on BCSN. All right, well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this week's episode. Thanks for stopping by. Catch out BCSN on all of our social media at BCSN Sports. Leave us a 5-star review. Check us out next week, Wednesday, September 21st, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have Mark Gibson on the show next week. Check me out on Twitter at Brennan Goforth, Justin at Justin Feldkamp. and coach_Mike Robb on Twitter. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.